Hey, this is Bryce Harper, and welcome to the Phillies Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Phillies Show with Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zolecki. It's Wednesday, August 14th, 2024, part of the Foul Territory Network, coming to you following probably maybe the worst game of the season, maybe the low point of the Phillies season, you would like to think. Probably about as bad of a game as I have seen, as lethargic of a game as I have seen. But I've been sick for the last few days, feeling better today. Jim, you were actually at the ballpark last night, and I'm just wondering, watching on TV, you could hear some boos, you could see the play on the field, obviously, but man, to be in that ballpark last night, you used your press pass to get in, but I can't imagine having paid $50, $60, $70 or more to come and watch this team coming off a 10-game road trip. You're thinking you're going to see something much better.
Yeah, 42,000 plus, another sellout. And these folks did not leave a Google review or a Yelp review. They used their lungs. So there were audible boos after 11 pitches when Taijuan Walker started, throwing ball one, ball two, ball eight. And after 16 pitches, there were a lot of boos. And he needed 34 pitches to get through that first inning. Gives up a couple runs. There's boos after the inning, and then there's more boos in the third inning when he gives up a 3-2 home run to Jake Berger. The fans were not pleased, nor should they be. Defense was sloppy. Castellanos was tardy getting a ball into the infield. It cost him an extra base. That hurt. Turner made another error. JT made an error. They only got 4 hits for the night. They did not get a hit with runners in scoring position, but 0 for 3. They only had 3 runners. 3 opportunities with a runner in scoring position because they just didn't hit. Young pitcher with subpar stuff, just tied him in knots. Very, very frustrating evening for the fans, for the players. Their body language was really terrible after that first inning. It almost looked like Walker gives up a couple early. He's not throwing strikes. Starting pitching's not there, and okay, chalk up another loss. And I go back to that sweep of Milwaukee in early June before they went to London. They're now 6 games under 500 since that point, over 56 games, which is more than a third of the season. So they have been a poor team, really, as long as they were the best team in baseball. So what's this final third of the season going to tell us? They need to tighten it up because it is quite ugly.
Yeah, I didn't go to the game, but I was watching on TV. I took a day off after being on the road, and I will tell you this, folks, that was an embarrassing baseball game. It's embarrassing to watch them right now because this is a team that should be much more talented, be playing much better baseball. It's just really kind of as simple as that. Probably the most embarrassing game I've seen this year. I know they've been blown out a few times, but this is the Miami Marlins. No disrespect, but they're not that great of a team. It's just not a good enough team. And they shouldn't be necessarily competing all that well with them. And the pitcher that they fired out there, Valente Belloso, I mean, this guy was, okay, he mixed it up, but he was flipping what I would call a 40 breaking ball up there and a 40 fastball, which is a grading system. I mean, he just said, I'm sorry, man, he had nothing. And for them not to be able to make the adjustments, I know that the umpire was giving him some pitches and, and I know hitting's difficult, but that was a very, very poor offensive performance and a poor defensive performance. They cannot have their shortstop making errors like this on a consistent basis. They just can't have that happen. And, just overall, they just have not played very good baseball at all. And, and it all really starts with the starting pitching. I've been saying it from the beginning. The starting pitching has been over like the last since July 1st. Their rankings, as far as a staff is concerned, ERA is 28th in baseball. It's over 5. It's like a 5.28 or something like that. I don't have I think I do have the actual exact numbers. I'll pull them up at some point, but it's not going to get it done. And if an adjustment is not made, if something doesn't happen, and I think that there is going to be a massive adjustment sometime soon. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but you're going to see if this particular series ends up as ugly as the first game. I think you're going to see some massive changes going on, and Dave Dombrowski is just not going to. He's not going to tolerate it. That's my sense of it. I don't know this for sure because I don't talk to him on a daily basis or anything like that. But just my sense is that this is not acceptable, and things are going to change.
Yeah, I think all three of us are very patient people because we're around baseball every day, and so we know the grind and the marathon that is the season. But it's now reached the point where you can't just say, all right, it's a bad few weeks, it's a bad month. The play recently, how good they are, how much money's been invested in this team, the expectations of this team, and how they played recently, especially last night. So yeah, if they go out and they throw up another clunker tonight, if the Nationals come into town and they fight to get a split, you got to do better than that. I mean, you mentioned Trey Turner, Ruben. To me, he's kind of emblematic of everything that's kind of going on with this team. He was so insanely hot. A month ago, we were talking about, is he going to be the first Phillies player to win a batting title since Richie Ashburn? We were talking about he might not win MVP, but he's going to get MVP votes. Now his OPS is hovering around 800. It's dropped 100 points in a month. It seems like he's taken that into the field with his defense. Yep. He's not running great. Now, I remember talking to Trey in Seattle a couple weeks ago. Are you hurt? Because he was not coming into games late, or he was, there were some situations where he was not doing the things he would normally do. And he said, no, I'm fine. I'm just, trying to be cautious here. So it's like, he's not hurt, but he's not running hard all the time. He's being tentative. I don't know what that's about. Is that like a mental thing? Is he trying to avoid maybe blowing out for later in the season because he knows that would be disastrous? So now you're not being Trey Turner on the field. So there's this whole kind of thing going on, which is just massively frustrating, and it kind of culminates into what's been going on. So,
and this should be a get well homestand.
That's like, what we said. Yeah.
It's the gods brought them this soft schedule. This Miami team that has no disrespect, but a lot of guys we haven't even heard of, and they take it to them last night. And then you got Washington, right, and then you got alumni weekend, and that all means something. They need a good showing because throughout this homestand, they need to get it together quickly because Ruben used the word embarrassing, and I don't care who you're playing against. The quality of play they're showing right now is an embarrassment to the roster that they've assembled, the payroll, up and down. People it makes you cringe.
I would love to know what John.
I know that John's not happy. I'm sure he's not very happy with the product that's being put out there. You got a couple $100 million payroll, whatever the heck it is. I'm sure that Dave Dombrowski's not happy. I'm sure that Rob Thompson's not happy. And at some point, there's going to reach a boiling point, and there's going to be action. There will be action if this continues much longer.
You got to do something.
No doubt.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so we decided we would ask for listener questions, viewer questions yesterday. And what timing? What Perfect. Timing for the questions, guys? So, Ruben, I'm going to start with you. And then, Jim, you can chime in if you want. This is more of a existential, big picture question. Ruben, this is from Ryan Safranco on X, formerly of Twitter. Ruben, when will the pain go away? Ruben, when will the pain go away? When will the Phillies stop hurting me? Michael on X also asked.
Yeah, it's a little hurtful for me too, because I had to call them, on the road, and I had to watch this up close and personal. And I know this is a much better team than it's been displayed. It's gonna turn around when the pitching turns around, the starting pitching, and if the starting pitching doesn't come back and bounce back, they're in trouble, because that was the thing that separated them from all other teams. It was them and the Seattle Mariners, and Seattle Mariners in the first part of the season had no offense. but they had great starting pitching. The Phillies had tremendous starting pitching, and they were banging the ball around the ballpark. They had a good, nice combination going.
Right.
That starting pitching needs to bounce back. If it doesn't, they're in trouble. They'll be in trouble, and they won't get very far in the playoffs. And I know they've performed. All those guys, all the top 3 guys have performed in the playoffs. But you start thinking about like the possibility of what's going to happen if they really, really collapse. There is a possibility that they do not make the playoffs, which is something that was so unthinkable 2 weeks ago, a month ago. And I got to believe that they will, but it is a possibility because other teams could surpass them.
Mm-hmm. You make the point that the starting pitching, I agree, the starting pitching needs to get going. It's the basis for all good teams, and it was the basis for them building the best record in baseball. I would take one phase right now. Give me the starting pitch. Okay, I'll take it. Give me the defense, give me the offense, because they're all flagging right now. And you talk about the collapse, and they might not make the playoffs. I mean, it sounds so fatalistic, but this is the 60-year anniversary of 64. The Eagles had their collapse in last season, and everybody's talking about this. It's really part of the narrative. The Phillies need to stop it now and extricate themselves from this narrative, this collapse narrative, all these connections to 64, all these connections to the Eagles. They need to retake their season and drive their own narrative. And it starts with getting one phase of the game back. Go out there and hit with runners in scoring position, run around the bases, show some energy, make a great play. Stop making errors. Stop, even the plays they don't make errors on, they're just not sharp plays that are given extra bases. Get the starting pitching back. Get Suarez back. I mean, he's going to throw something this weekend. He's going to either do another sim game or a rehab start, to be determined. But, get him back maybe next week and have him looking like his old self. Get Nola back, showing some consistency. Excuse me. I would just take one phase of the game right now and build on that.
I've heard a lot of 64 Phillies talk. Thankfully, the 2024 Phillies know nothing about the 64 Phillies, so it's not like they're fighting that ghost or chasing that, or that ghost is chasing them.
Ruben does. He had a relative on that team.
Well, I was going to say, Ruben, I remember talking to your dad about the 64 Phillies. I'm sure he talked to you about it a lot, or maybe he didn't. I know that haunted him. And so that's a feeling that this team does not want to live with for the rest of their lives.
No, they don't. I know. I remember my mom once telling me at one of the games, he came back. Now he was on the DL for part of it, and it was a disabled list at that back then, not the IL. Anyway, it was a disabled list, and I think he either separated his shoulder on a slide back or something, but he missed about 6 or 7 of those games when they were really sliding, maybe more. And my mom tells me the story that when they got back to the apartment in Northeast Philly after one of the games, my dad punched a wall, made a big hole in the wall.
Oh my God.
And yeah, they had to cover it up or whatever. But I remember him. There's a hot, very, very high frustration.
They need to extricate themselves from this narrative, and it needs to start tonight.
Jim, so Ruben, you've talked about this today and in our last episode, Jim. So I'm going to ask you this question. This is from the Urbane Turtle on X. Do you think changes in management or coaching are in order? Something is clearly wrong within the clubhouse for the whole team to be underperforming at once for so long. And I guess this could dovetail into the other question. Thoughts on moving on from Kevin Long? That's from Tim McLaughlin on X.
I'm not there where you have to fire somebody, but I think the fact that you're playing 2 really weak teams on this homestand, and you've played poorly now for 56 games. If it continues much longer, they would probably consider anything to shake things up. I think right now it's probably more in the lineup. I mean, he did fiddle with the lineup a little bit last night. I wouldn't, if this goes on for another week, I wouldn't rule out maybe them sending somebody to AAA, somebody who might have options, somebody who's might struggling. Brandon Marsh is racking up strikeouts and having uncompetitive at bats. I mean, you'd like to see. I mean, he needs to turn it around. other than that, I mean, maybe you can get Sosa out there in left field. I mean, what happened to that idea? Was it just a talking point that they weren't going to follow through on? He does bring some energy to the lineup. I would figure try to get him in there and see if he can add a little spark. So I do see, the need for some shakeup, but I'm not ready to start chopping people's heads off. But hey, you want to avoid that? Turn it around.
I think there's got to be some change. There's got to be some change, whether it's the lineup, whether it's the roster, or whatever the case may be. I don't necessarily think that that you need to make changes at the management level or the coaching level. Yeah. I don't think that's really, but I'm sure it's going to be considered. Everybody's being evaluated all the time. I was evaluated as a player, I was evaluated as a coach, and I was evaluated as someone in the front office. So you're always being evaluated, and it's about results. I will tell you that is always and finally about wins and losses, and the brand of baseball that you're seeing. And right now, the brand of baseball is not quality, and so something has to change to make this change, to make the brand of baseball become better. Because if it doesn't, then you're going to see some. Then you're going to see some change. Real change?
Can you believe we're even talking about this?
No, it's crazy.
2 months ago, they were flying high, talking about 116 wins.
Are they going to run down the 2001 Mariners or whatever it was? Right?
It's amazing.
That's the game of baseball, guys. The game of baseball will get you, and then the baseball gods are always like listening in. Hey, what?
Huh?
Really?
Oh, you can't be beat?
100
most wins ever?
Like the baseball
gods, man.
They can be mean and spiteful. It's maybe they like Rojas after they swept the Dodgers. Johan Rojas was beating his chest a little bit, and it's almost like they were like, "What'd you say?"
Like Garrett Stubbs dropped the old swimming in the pool piece. Listen, you can't mess with the baseball gods. Here's the bottom line, man. They better start playing better baseball. Or one, you're not going to see the sellouts that you're seeing every single night. And two, the boo birds are coming out. And you could talk about the symbiosis between this fan base and this team. But if they don't play well and win, then you're going to see a fraying of that symbiosis and that bond. Believe me, the fans have an expectation. And if the expectation is not met, there's going to be changes.
It's going to symbiosis. Hold on. I got to go on dictionary.com and look up symbiosis.
There you go.
So wait a second. So you guys both, and I don't disagree with you, but July of 2010, Ruben, the Phillies had, I think, led the National League or baseball in runs scored 2 out of the previous 3 years. July of 2010, the Phillies are struggling. They get shut out in St. Louis. Jim and I are sitting down having a nice Italian meal at a little corner place.
Wouldn't call it nice. It was so.
It was a St. Louis Sunday evening meal. Everything was shut down. The Phillies charter flight lands in Philadelphia, and we get a notice that Milt Thompson has been relieved of his duties as hitting coach. Now, Chase Utley had been injured. There had been other injuries, but the team had been underperforming to that point. A couple weeks before that, as the team was underperforming, somebody asked Charlie Manuel about Milt Thompson, and he was like, "What are you talking about? Milt Thompson's a fantastic hitting coach." 2 weeks later, a change is made. Greg Gross is installed as hitting coach. Is it that dissimilar of a situation? Totally different situation that it is now? I mean, and then, the team took off from there. I
can't speak to what's going on in the clubhouse and the work that's being done. I know these guys are working their tails off. I know that they work. And in that instance, I just felt like a new voice needed to be heard. Okay. And it was really my call. Really wasn't Charlie's call. I kind of pushed Charlie into that one a little bit. And I love Milt Thompson. I think he's a fantastic coach. I don't think there's anything, but I don't. It didn't have anything to do with his ability to coach, or it was just. I just felt like you couldn't change all the players, so sadly, the coaches or the manager takes the hit, and we ended up. I think Greg Gross took over, if I'm not mistaken. He came back and took over, and we ended up, things changed and things got a little bit better. I don't know if that's the reason necessarily, but sometimes just a change. And again, you're messing with people's lives. You don't. That's the worst part of our job, is to have to make those kind of changes.
For sure.
But
that's great. That's great recall, right?
But
there.
it's something. But it's something that's something that just sometimes you just have to. That's why you have to wear the black hat sometimes. It sucks.
I know that. I remember that. That was really tough on you.
Very difficult. He's a great teammate. What wonderful person. I mean, I'm still friends with him.
He knows hitting.
What year was that?
And he knows hitting.
That was 2010. 2010.
That was 2010.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a shocking move. It was akin to what we talk about, rolling a grenade through the clubhouse, and somebody's going to have to take it, and it kind of reverberated and woke that place up a little bit.
They ended up turning it around. I don't know what the numbers were. I don't know what happened after that. I know they started playing better and hitting better, but again, I don't think it had anything to do with the actual, person or I just think I think something needed to be changed, and we changed it.
I don't think this team is there yet, but again, continue to fall on your face in a homestand that you should be grabbing by the throat and taking control of. And you never know.
So, okay, here's another one. We kind of discussed about this. Would you consider benching Marsh, Stott for Sosa and Wilson/Rojas once Austin Hayes returns? Sounds like you guys would be open to that.
Yeah. I would try to get Sosa in there some way, somehow, starting tonight.
Guys, they have to perform. I mean, listen, at some point you have to be able to do your job to keep your job. I mean, nobody's necessarily guaranteed jobs. I mean, there's guys on the field. You're Schwarber and Harper and Turner and JT, those guys, and Castellanos, they're staying. They're not going anywhere. If the other guys that are support players are not supporting, then maybe you have to change some of the support. And right now, those guys aren't performing.
I will say this. Last night, Stott's first at bat, he put a charge in one, hit it to the big part of the ballpark, hit it on the screws, hit it good. And his second at bat, he ran a 3-2 count, saw a lot of pitches, and lined out to right field. In my opinion, better at bats. So maybe something is coming there. But Marsh is the one that just looks lost.
Marsh, his rate of strikeouts. I mean, he's had a 50% strikeout or 60% strikeout rate in the last 10 games. Some crazy number.
It's a big number. So in baseball this season, I looked this up last night. Players with a minimum of 300 plate appearances, he's got the 5th highest strikeout rate in Major League Baseball, 32.8%. 1 out of every 3 at bats ends in a strikeout for him. It's 38.5% since he came back from the IL on June 15th. That's the 2nd highest in baseball. Will Benson from Cincinnati is the only guy higher. He has batted .201 with a .641 OPS since he came back from the IL in mid-June. Since July 12th, that's since the Dodgers sweep at home, he's batting .198, a .428 OPS. So that's terrible.
It's not getting it done.
Yeah.
And he's a much more talented player than that, but he's just not getting it done. I think sometimes either you just need to sit down and watch a few games, or something has to happen where he just needs to have a little bit of a mental shift, because right now he's not playing the type of brand of baseball that you would expect of this player.
Right. So this is from Fightin's Talk on X. Why hasn't Taijuan Walker been DFA'd yet? I'll hang up and listen. Thanks. I mean, a lot of Taijuan Walker questions. I mean, I could have picked 15 Taijuan Walker questions on Instagram, Facebook, X, because go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, it's the need for pitching depth. Pitching depth is hard to find, and he's on a big contract. He's owed a lot of money. I think that's why. And they don't, they need the pitching depth, and they have the financial commitment. They're going to ride it out a little longer. But it's a fair question.
Yeah, since the first season with Taijuan, he just really hasn't been the same pitcher. There's not much on the baseball right now. I don't see a whole lot of life on his stuff, and I know he's working hard to try to get back to that place. I just haven't seen it, and hopefully it can bounce back. But they've been hoping for a long time. It just doesn't seem like it's his arm is responding.
If they had reasonable pitching depth, do you think they would eat 2 years on that big contract, Ruben?
I think they would. I think they would if they felt like he wasn't going to bounce back. If they really, in their heart of hearts, they would. Yes.
Yeah, there was another question on there, and I did not put this one on because to me it was just too obvious. But it was a question regarding Mick Abel. Why hasn't he gotten an opportunity? Well, it's obvious he has not pitched well at all all season long. Now, if Mick Abel is doing his job or performing as the Phillies had hoped, I mean, they were talking about midseason last year, talking about maybe he can make a push in the second half to help this team out. Now he's not even remotely in the conversation to help this team.
Again, this is why prospects are prospects, and he's got a great talent. But this game is a very mental game. It's a development game. It is you just never know which guy can figure it out mentally to perform to expectation. I watched hundreds upon thousands of players that I played with or against in the minor leagues who had uber talent, who could not get past AA. And the reason is because the game can wear on you so difficult. It's so difficult mentally for you to be able to perform to what your body is able to do, to have your brain work to make your body do what it's supposed to do. And hopefully the young man can bounce back. And I mean, when you have that kind of talent, I mean, you're hoping that at some point it develops and comes out. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes it's a real short time span. But that's why prospects are prospects. And that's why I trade prospects for talent that's doing the job in the major leagues.
Right. And his lack of development or slow development, whatever you want, it's affecting this team, the 2024 team, because he should be knocking at the door. He should be stepping over the threshold. He should be filling, should be at that point of his career where he's able to fill that breach, be depth, be maybe more than depth, put heat on Taijuan Walker, allow them to sit upstairs and say, okay, is it time to say goodbye to Taijuan Walker? I mean, I remember Jamie Moyer. He used to, a couple spring trainings when he was here, he'd go over and talk to the minor leaguers at the complex about, perseverance, just about getting to the big leagues, about making that next step. He would talk about early in his career, the challenges he had to overcome physically, mentally, but he would always kind of punctuate his conversation with these minor league pitching prospects by saying, people ask me all the time, why am I pitching at age 44? Why am I pitching at age 45? And he'd say, the reason I'm pitching at age 44 and 45 is because none of you guys have come and taken my job. So
truth. Great answer.
Come up,
truth,
and take the jobs of players who are not performing well. And honestly, that's just not happening with this team.
Ruben, what do you think? This is from Phil's fan DLR on Instagram. What do you think Dallas Green would have done if you were managing this team right now?
He probably.
I don't think Dallas would have lasted in this era.
I mean, guys like Dallas and Larry Bowa, guys who sort of wear their hearts on their sleeve and are. I mean, and Dallas was probably a little bit more judicious when he made his, made his pleas to the team or made his stance. I think he would have been pretty vocal. I think there would be after a ball game, sort of like this last ball game, he probably would have flipped a table or two. But I don't think he would have done it like 20 times. But he would have he would have let people know his displeasure in the type of in the brand of baseball that was being played. It's a different era. Guys take things differently. I think when he came down in 80, I mean, the players hated him. Players didn't like him, but he challenged them. And back then, when you got challenged, if you were a real competitor, then you challenged back. And that's exactly what that team did. And it's one of the reasons why they had so much success. Now, it's a different sort of mindset. When you're challenged, there's a tendency to back down and to view that as a affront. And I don't think that that people handle that sort of criticism as well.
And I think people want Rob Thompson to be Dallas Green right now. And I don't necessarily feel that.
That's not his personality.
It's not his personality. And also, and I think people take calmness and post-game comments to mean indifference, or I'm just going to stay the course and I don't care. And I don't even see what you guys see. That's not what Rob Thompson is thinking. That's not how he's talking to his players. He will get on his players behind closed doors, but he's not going to come out post game and say Trey Turner is better get his act together, or this player is an embarrassment to me and Phillies fans should have every right to boo this player X because he stinks right now. That's not who Rob Thompson is.
No,
it does not mean he does not care. It does not mean he does not care.
Let me just say this about Rob Thompson. I love Rob Thompson. I love everything about him. I love his overall development. I love where he can come from. I love where he is. I love the way that he handles the media. And people think it's like, it's too flatline for him, but that's what plays in the clubhouse, number one. And number two, he cares. Believe me, he cares. This Canadian is not happy about what's going on on the field. I guarantee you. And I know that he's addressed some things and he will continue to address some things. He just handles things a lot differently than, what maybe the fans would expect. But this is a good leader. This is a great leader. This is a good person and a great baseball man. And I believe in what he's and how he goes about it. And at some point, and I don't know when that's going to be, and I know some things have been addressed, it may be addressed on a bigger scale. If this continues,
if this continues, I'm gonna make a prediction that he gets booted one of these nights and goes off and stomps off the field and does something like that. But you mentioned Dallas, you mentioned Boa. It's a different era, but God, I would love to see the blow up. It would be great.
I love
it's entertainment. It's entertainment.
I've seen a few of them, and I might even been the victim of a few of them, but that's fine. That's fine. I have to digress and offer an anecdote that I heard at the ballpark last night. Larry Boa, ejected from many a ball game by many an umpire, apparently was recently ejected from an Uber. You're going to have to do some reporting and find out the details.
Oh, I got to find out. I'll have to talk to Patty about that one.
Apparently it was raining and he was having trouble with the door and he closed the door too hard because he was worried about rain getting in the driver's car, and the driver didn't like that and said, out of here.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And that messes, and I'm sure that messed up Larry's 5-star rating.
Yeah, you got to get the 5-star rating from Larry.
He may not get another ride. He's going to be waiting for hours. He's going to be waiting for hours for an Uber now.
Larry, that is so perfect. So you know what I said to him? I said, "Who is the driver? Bob Davidson?"
Larry's going to have to go over to Lyft now. He's going to have to switch accounts. Got to shuttle back and forth. So let's wrap up. 2 more questions. This is from Sixto on X. Jim, have the past 2 months caused Jim to regret ending his sabbatical?
No, because it's great to be back hanging with you guys and reading all Sixto's incredibly hilarious tweets, his caustic wit. So no, I love the game of baseball, and it's whether they're winning or losing, it's still fun to watch and chat with you guys about it.
Way better having you at the ballpark, Jim. And this last one is from Sophia Amaro on Instagram. It just says, "What up?"
No way, she did not. That is
hilarious. So what up, Ruben? What are you gonna? You're done.
What up? What's up? Is my 2 kids are living with me again, which is kind of cool.
Oh man,
they're living with me at least briefly before my eldest goes back up north. But Sophia and Andrea are working together and same company. It's kind of cool.
Wow.
And I have them together here in Philly. It's pretty cool. That's what's
awesome.
up. What up?
What up?
That's funny.
Are they hardwired into your wallet?
Deeply. Deeply. And meanwhile, they're both making more money than I am.
That's good. That means you did a good job.
I remember Ruben's kids, Ruben's daughters, when they were yay high running around the Crescent Beach Club with my kids in spring training way back when.
Oh my goodness.
We're getting old, my friend.
Yeah, we are.
That is weird. Like when you see like your daughters, Ruben, like fully grown, you see like Dalton Varsho making a diving catch in left field for the Blue Jays.
Crazy? Yeah.
I remember him, a little tiny kid, just out there his dad hitting fungos to him at Citizens Bank Park when it first opened. I'm like, oh my God, that guy's he's a good big leaguer now.
That's crazy.
You know?
Hey, how
Wild.
about Billy Wagner's son?
Billy Wagner's kid.
How crazy was that?
That is wild.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So, maybe
that's what's up.
That's what's up. Maybe the Phillies will pick it up beginning tonight. Beginning tonight at Citizens Bank Park against the Marlins. We'll be back later this week. Maybe the tone will have shifted, guys. Maybe. So thanks. Thanks. And we'll talk to you guys later. See you later in the week.
Smell you later, guys.
Smell you, Jim.
This is The Phillies Show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to The Phillies Show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel. If you like what we do, give us a review. Tell a friend. Catch Ruben, Jim, and me on Phillies Nation TV, presented by Valley Forge Tourism. New episodes air an hour before every Saturday Phillies game on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Replays air throughout the week and on PhilliesNation.com. Get more of Ruben's analysis during, before, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Read Jim at the All City Network at allphly.com. Find more of me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and occasionally on MLB Network.